Continuing with our impact story for this morning, and we're talking about the WASSCE examinations. Now, the 2015 West African Secondary School examinations have kicked off across the country. Joining me this morning in the studio to discuss this a little bit in depth, we have Paul Kofi Krampa from the Ministry of Education. Good morning.
Good morning,
How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Welcome to the NewDay. Reports have suggested that certain students have been able to pay their examination fees, but weren't able to pay their school fees. How did this come about?
Well, some heads of institutions are very particular about payment of fees. In fact, we were at St. Aquinas yesterday, and we realized that only 10% of the students had paid their fees.
Right.
The final year students. So, the heads are very much particular about it. And, when students also have a way of going about things. They don't pay their fees, but they pay for registration.
Right.
And they also insist that once you have not paid for you do not pay your fees, they'll use that registration fee as part payment of the fees.
Right.
And that has always been created a problem.
Okay.
But the attention of the minister has been drawn to the issue, and the Ghana Education Service, which has the mandate to actually administer all secondary schools in this country, has actually taken up the issue with the heads of institutions involved.
Okay.
So we are very much optimistic that sooner or later amicable solution will be found to the whole issue. But I would like to add that there's a need for parents actually to meet their obligation of payment of fees.
Yeah.
In fact, I quite remember last year we had to intervene. The minister had to intervene to enable a lot of the students to write the examination.
Right.
What we told the heads was that that we had actually struck a deal with the West African Examination Council, whereby the West African Examination Council will block the results of the students,
right,
and then release them upon payment of their district.
Right. Okay.
But there's a need for parents also actually to sit up and then actually ensure that their obligation, that is to pay the fees of their children, is actually met.
Indeed. Okay, now we showed a short video earlier on of a school who, even during prep time, they're facing issues with Dumsor. The children are finding it very hard to study. One student was saying that she had an examination very soon. She wanted to study at night. She wasn't able to do so because she literally had no form of illumination, no form of light. What's being done, or what can be done, in order to try and alleviate this kind of stress that these students are going to go through?
Well, I would like to state here that the heads of institutions in this country are doing their best. I know very well that most of the schools' heads have put in place certain strategic measures to ensure that the issue of Dumsor is actually brought to the barest minimum. Yeah, I know that some of them have actually restructured their, how do you call it, the time of their meals in such a way that they take early dinner,
okay,
to enable them also to study.
Okay.
So what I would like to state is that when there is a crisis, there is a need for people to actually adopt strategies to ensure that whatever challenges that may crop up as a result of the crisis will be met.
Right.
Now, in a case, let me give an example of a school, the lady that you cited.
Yes.
I mean, what it means is that there's a need for them to utilize the day period. I'm talking about daylight.
Yeah.
To actually prepare. Instead of studying in the night, they can study during the day.
But I mean, okay, I do understand what you're saying. We should try and shift things around. But let's just take the average student's life. You wake up in the morning, you go to school. By the time you finish school, you come home. You may have chores to do. You may have other things to do around the house, or even eat dinner before you sit down and you learn. Some of them like to learn, or find it best to learn throughout the night, so that they feel that it sticks in their mind, so that they can actually pour it out first thing in the morning. It's been tried and tested. It works for some, not for others. So it's not necessarily their fault. I mean, there's only 12 hours in one half of the day. So
yes.
There's only so much can be done within that time.
Well, I'm not saying that it's their fault. But the point I'm making is that we are in a crisis situation. You get a point. When you are in crisis, you adopt strategies to actually meet the crisis situation as it prevails.
Okay.
Now, I know some heads, they have actually arranged the system in such a way that they allow the children to go, they have generators, and they put on the generators for about 4 hours. I know a school, for instance, St. Martin's. I'm talking about St. Martin's because I happen to be a member of the board of governors of St. Martin's. Now, they provide light in the evening to enable the students to do their prayer. You get a point. Now, what the point I'm also making is that, the students can also adjust themselves. You get a point. Not necessarily in the night. I know studying in the night is the
preferred
exactly option. But the point is, we have crisis. How do we prepare for the examination? Do we want to study at night when there's no light? I think they have to utilize all available time during the day to prepare.
Okay. When it comes to the WASSCE exams and WAEC, we've had various scandals about invigilation and other things that have rocked WAEC itself. How are we trying to prevent these things going forward?
Thank you very much. As a ministry, we've taken a critical look at the issue. But I must say that if you look at examination malpractices, vis-a-vis the sub-region, I'm talking about the member countries of WAEC, it's about 7%. But that of Ghana is about 3%.
Right.
But we are not satisfied. We want to actually have 0%. We don't want any form of examination malpractices. So what we have done this year was actually to work closely with all of our agencies, the West Africa Examination Council, for them to organize orientation for the students.
Okay.
These orientation programs were organized nationwide, and the students were actually, brought to understand the do's and the don'ts of examination, so that they don't get themselves involved. And in fact, previously we actually allow vigilators from schools to actually invigilate, but this time we have swapped them.
Right.
For instance, if there's a vigilator at Presec, he goes to Achimota goes to Presec, that kind of thing.
And what about situations like leaked papers? Because obviously that's not the students themselves. That would come from people who are within the organization.
Well, in fact, I must say that this time around we have actually tightened security.
Okay.
And I don't think there will be any leakage of examination questions as it happened previously. The minister is very much concerned about this issue. So even in her goodwill message to all candidates this year, she actually reiterated the point that they should actually avoid getting involved in examination malpractices, since if you involve in it, it will jeopardize your future.
Right.
So she has reiterated the point, and I think the students have taken note of it. In fact, yesterday we visited 5 examination centers in Accra Metropolis, and we were actually impressed with all that we saw.
Okay.
Yeah, we realized the students were disciplined, and they adhered strictly to the instructions given to them by their supervisors.
Okay.
So that is a pointer to that at least now everybody is alert.
Okay.
We don't want this examination to be marred with any malpractices whatsoever. So we are making sure that as much as possible we actually have an incident-free WASSCE.
Okay. And finally, my last question for you is, we saw last year that certain young ladies who were unfortunate to be victims of teenage pregnancy were given the opportunity to sit their exams. Is that still going to be the case this time around?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
In actual fact, if a student is pregnant, that doesn't mean that the child should not write the examination.
Right.
Once the child has registered for the examination, the child is at liberty to write the examination. But if the lady feels that, because of the pregnancy, she can't write, so be it. But once she has registered, nobody will prevent the child from writing.
Okay.
In fact, what actually happened last year was something that was very unpleasant.
Okay.
And we've taken note. I don't think that will occur again.
Right.
Once the students have registered for the examination, opportunity will be given to them to write the papers that they have registered for.
Okay, sir. Well, we're going to take your word for it, and we hope all of this comes to fruition. And we want to wish all the students going to sit their exams the best of luck. I want to thank Mr. Paul Kofi Krampa. He's from the Ministry of Education for educating us more on the examination practices.